Hi, good evening, everybody. This is Treacy O'Connor here, straight to the point. The show that's all about connection on HCN Live TV. And I'm delighted to be joined this evening by a bit of a legend, really. Although I don't know if you like to call yourself that, but accept it anyway. Jamie Catto, founder member of Faithless. He's creator and producer and director of the multi-award winning global One Giant Leap films and albums. The One Giant Leap, which he co-created with Duncan Bridgeman, which involved 7 months of travel across 5 continents, 50 locations, filming the most inspiring people they could find, and music. And Jamie's now leading incredibly unique and transformative workshops and one-to-one sessions. Insanely gifted, turning your demons into creative rocket fuel. Hi, Jamie, welcome.
Hiya, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. So, Jamie, Tom Robbins, he referred to you as a human icebreaker with a proud determination and a motor of love slicing through the frozen seas around us.
Yeah, wicked.
That's a pretty awesome quote.
Yeah, beautiful.
What led you, Jamie, to being brave enough to have broken through your own demons? Because obviously, if you're teaching this to others and really embracing the shadows and transforming them, you've obviously been on this journey yourself. Was there one particular moment that defining moment where you really broke through that you'd like to share?
I think it was just the accumulation of suffering that all the things we practice on the workshops or write about in the book and even express through the art and the music is it's just the accumulation of the amount of suffering that makes you surrender and try something else. And the reason I bring that up is that we've been trained to think that whenever we feel something edgy or something scary, that something's wrong.
Yeah. And
for me, that means the body's doing something right. That means it's trying to speak to you, maybe tell you you're not thriving here, maybe tell you this is exciting, go for it, And to be more curious, I've had to, because of the panic attacks and all the other stuff I had, I've had to kind of go inside and feel myself more so that I can get a grip on the breath, on the adrenaline, on all this sort of bodily stuff that explodes in me. And in doing that, I've really learned that it's not just those panic attack things, it's every flavor of every day of my intuition in front of every person, every choice, every moment of being me in the day. If I'm in tune with the same way I had to be to survive panic attacks, then the listening, trusting part of me that is in stillness is always going to make the right decisions. So I don't know if it was a great moment, but it was that realization of letting how I'm feeling on the inside guide me, trusting it in all ways. And the other thing I think is just when you said brave enough, I misheard you, is that I don't mind getting up in front of people. I don't really mind what they think. I know that in any given room there's going to be one that loves it, one that hates it, and all the rest somewhere in between. And I've always had people not enjoying my ideas as well as enjoying them, or telling me I'm a bad person as well as telling me I'm an angelic person, or telling me that I'm this at the same time as someone else is telling me that. And I've become I've been told what I am so much. I'm given so much negative and positive feedback from everything I've done all the time. I'm kind of immune to realizing, thinking any of it means anything.
But so many people, though, as you know yourself, look for approval all the time. So that's quite a unique talent and a gift to have.
Yeah, but as I said, it's a talent that is born of just sober realization. I mean, you're right that one of the greatest hindrances to us living a juicy, free, creative, intimate life is that terror of what if people saw me as vulnerable? What would people think? And we, as we were children, we felt so much shame and so much terror and trauma around people not digging us. And it was so awful seeing other people fail and seeing other people not be held in their vulnerability and seeing other people look stupid and be laughed at, that we really trained our problem-solving mind, our ego. We trained it, even without realizing it as children, we trained our mind, always be on the lookout to make sure I'm never vulnerable. I never look stupid. I never look like I'm failing. I never look like I don't know what's going on. I never look smelly or ugly or whatever the things they saw got terrible feedback. And we don't realize it, but we've programmed this incredible brain to only, to give too much of its daily, because when we were children, it seemed so important. We've just sort of programmed our brains and then just left it as that important for the rest of our lives. And it really needs revisiting, because it's actually when you dare to be vulnerable that you have incredible connections. It's when you dare to look like an idiot that everyone else laughs and there's more intimacy and they feel like an idiot too, and we can all be idiots. It's when you dare to fail that you get great discoveries. So many of the great discoveries of life came through failure. And also you give other people permission to discover and not be this perfect 10 out of 10 thing, otherwise we're failing. We've got to unpick all that programming, and we can do it in an hour. You don't have to take a long time to do it. Just fucking stop doing it once you realize. Huh?
In an hour?
Yeah, in a minute. Just stop it. And just make your life, your incredible slave driver and self-loathing pessimist that has got such a clear eye on the world. Turn that, just say, look, you're doing a stupid job. I love all your CCTV, incredible, accurate things. So I would like you to now turn that genius upon noticing how I keep not allowing myself to be myself because of this whole list of things I shouldn't be and no one can see me being. You start examining how uptight you are and how much of a pleaser you are, or how much you are dishonest and you hide what's really going on, or if you've got all the reasons in the world to be this not fully honest version of ourselves, and only we're doing it, and we're doing it through a bunch of childish, immature conclusions we understandably drew when we were like 5 or 6 years old. So it really needs to be turned and faced.
So lovingly, yeah. What advice would you give to anybody sitting on the fence of their potential that might necessarily know, or it might be just such a scary place to be that they don't know what to do?
Read Insanely Gifted. It spells it out. But it's basically a process. It's a process of turning towards yourself.
Okay.
And not only saying only these parts of me are okay, because you expect that you're a whole spectrum of everything, some suppressed, some expressed. And a lot of what was suppressed when you were little, so that people wouldn't think you were a naughty girl, or wouldn't think you were a dirty girl, or wouldn't think you were a bad girl, or wouldn't think you were a stupid girl. All those things that you suppress, you don't realize how many millions of parts of yourself, natural, beautiful parts of yourself, that your adult self would be lovely to have been thrown out with the bathwater. And we're all working to such a small percentage of who we are and exhausting ourselves in the process, keeping all those doors of suppressed self out. So just to even entertain that idea about yourself and just start feeling your insides and saying hello to yourself, and saying hello to your loneliness, and saying hello to your stroppiness and bitchiness, and saying hello to your anger, and saying hello to them all, and just saying, hey, I've really ignored you for 30 years. We're going to go on a little journey. And the journey doesn't have to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. The journey can just be just step by step. I'm just going to feel you and listen to what you say more and more. And then you're still the CEO at the top of the company. It's not like you give all those parts of yourself the wheel, but you hear them and you include their needs in your daily life so that they don't need to keep smashing down the door and creating crisis in your life to be met. Because so many of the crises is parts of ourselves trying to say, hey, care for me. Hey, I need oxygen. And it needs to build up into a crisis before you'll listen to it. So turn towards it willingly before it turns into a nervous breakdown or a divorce or an illness. Well, that suppression needs to be loved. And it doesn't need to be loved with a chamomile tea and a fluffy dolphin, it just needs to be loved in that it needs to be respected enough to turn towards it and go, hey, when I put my hand on my chest and I feel myself, I'm like, how am I feeling today? Whoa, I'm feeling really vulnerable and tender. Okay. So when you're feeling vulnerable and tender, what's the most self-caring, sensible, thriving option? Okay, well, probably I could cancel this meeting and this meeting, still do those two, and spend the afternoon actually, having a bath salt thing or going and sitting in the garden. And that would be actually a day where I would thrive in this state best. Okay, well, we live in our life devotion to that now, more important than business. More important than anything is living life in devotion to the tenderness, fragility, and post-traumatic stress disorder child that lives in all of us. Let's just live in devotion to that for a little bit and then let that shine. Then that part of our creativity shines beautifully. and intimacy and all those beautiful things. If you come, that comes first for me in my model.
Yeah. What about the people who are still working in employment, who can't afford to take a bath in the afternoon, or, you know, what advice would you give to them? Because there's so many people who are.
I would say if you're the kind of person that is working at the level of fragility and suppression and it's exhausting you, then I would say get a different job. Don't put yourself, well, how long is this going to go on? How long are you going to sit in this 40 or so hours a week, exhausting yourself, getting old, giving away all your daylight hours for some sort of level of security? How about have slightly less security, maybe live in a slightly smaller place, but have many more of your hours to yourself and actually just give, you know, this life is short in a way. On your deathbed, are you going to be happy you sat in that chair hour after hour for that perceived security? Or could you maybe live in a smaller place with maybe less money for alcohol or less money for only one holiday a year, not 2 holidays a year, but you've actually got plenty of time to see your friends in Devon, and you're having so much more spacious life, looking after your femininity, the part in you that needs to listen and stop and recalibrate and self-nurture and be intimate with friends and be in nature and dance, which is such an important part of life, not just to be squeezed in the evenings and on the weekends. Really think about, this is your one life. Do you definitely have to have this job? Could there be another one? Could there be a different way to order your life so that you've got the space to really live more of it for you? And you fucking deserve it. Don't buy the brainwashing that just because all the lemmings are doing it, that you need to do it.
Yeah.
Just give it a try to adjust it a bit, at least. Even if you got yourself a half day, and that Friday afternoon or that Tuesday afternoon was always better. Come again?
Well, you say on your, so apologies for the delay there. I was just saying that on your website you explain that people operate at maximum 50% of their potential in general.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all because of what I've been bollocking on about, exactly that.
That people tend to only operate at 50% of their potential. And so in order to actually operate at 100% of the potential, what you're saying is they have to really embrace that rocket fuel and have fire within them, and step through the fear that's holding them back from operating at 100%. What do you think would happen if everybody was to operate at 100%?
I think everyone working at 100% would be a lot more spacious and a lot more gentleness. I don't think it would be everyone zooming around like freaking everyone out. I think it would just be, when you're working at 100%, you actually go a lot slower because you realize how important space and stillness is. I work, at the moment, got 2 films in production, 2 albums in the mix, workshops nearly every weekend, book out, just coming out in America. It looks like an insanely full time. But actually, I spend half of my time sitting quite spaciously, not doing much, reading, listening to audiobooks, looking at the fields outside the window. I have an awful lot of time to sit, because that's actually where a lot of ideas and genius comes in, is in the stillness, in the space, so that you have emptiness enough to be present for an idea to pop into your head. And you can't think up an idea when you're busy, cluttered, strategizing, doing all the busyness of life. So bringing back 100% might be, for some people, permission to slow down, permission to rest, permission to indulge yourself in treats, permission to look pretty, permission. Coming back to the 100% isn't about igniting rocket fuel. It's about dissolving whatever's in the way. And if you, for instance, have grown up and you're ashamed for looking pretty, and you feel now that you only wear sort of very conservative clothes, and a part of you actually kind of died there, or like never died, actually always loved more pretty things to wear, but hasn't got permission. Or if another thing, maybe you want to be more talkative, but you got shamed for it, or it got blocked, or whatever, and now you kind of sit more quietly. You've got a lot to say, but you just feel that slight reservation about doing it. Many people like that. These are the things we're dissolving. It's like not believing the old lie we told ourselves that our talkativeness wasn't welcome, or our prettiness wasn't welcome, or whatever else we've made unwelcome when we were told to stand at the back of the choir or whatever. So coming back to 100% is a very beautiful, it's not like some cathartic breaking through your shadow thing. It's just a question of noticing, wow, when I actually go into stillness and ask my inner self, what it loved and what's been forgotten, I remember there's a lot that I want to do that I just stopped having permission for whatever reason. So it's a very gentle, beautiful turning towards yourself and loving yourself and parenting yourself and going, hey, I haven't forgotten you. I'm a grown-up now. You're welcome to be a bit eccentric. You're welcome to dance stupidly. You're welcome to be a bit needy sometimes. You're welcome to be a pain in the ass. You're welcome to be all the sort of eccentricities that you are. And try that out for size. What's to lose? Who are you not doing it for?
Yeah, but it's coming back to that addiction to approval, isn't it? It's like, well, I have to do it this way because otherwise I won't be liked because of a past experience. And that's very inevitable.
It's a bollocks conclusion, that, because your assumption of what will be liked is totally wrong. Actually, the truth is people love the artists and love the people that they love because they're at home being seen in their eccentricities. Whoever fell in love with someone because it was so beautifully appropriate? No. So I know you may think me being the appropriate version of me gets me liked, but trust me, you being comfortable in the less appropriate of you is going to get you loved.
Yeah. Well, look at the loves and the likes on Facebook, for example, and how that's keeping people coming back. And, that addiction to being liked on Facebook is highly evident. I know you come across this and you share it actually in your workshops, don't you?
What?
That addiction to Facebook likes, as an example, as a way of looking for approval.
Yeah, Facebook, exactly. How many likes did you get under your Rumi quote? And when someone criticizes us staying up all night or whatever, like arguing with someone because they don't see it our way, it's all terribly fragile. We're all living in this post-traumatic stress disorder from our childhoods. We're all so reactive. It really needs a lot of care. We've got to treat ourselves like little regressed babies half the time and not be embarrassed about it.
Yeah. For me, it's all about engagement and connection, not only with ourselves, but when we connect with ourselves and drop down into our heart, that we can connect fully with the community of organs that exist within us, and then fully engage and connect with those around us. It's pretty straightforward, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people find it difficult, though. I mean, it can't be just that easy. For people just to, what is it that's blocking everybody? I mean, if it was that easy, Jamie, and if everybody knew about this, then most of the world.
No, it's not because it's hard. It's not because it's hard. It's because people haven't noticed. When I do it in rooms full of 30 or 40 people every week, and I present it to them just the way I presented it to you.
Yeah.
Everyone gets it, and everyone lightens up, and then we have a great weekend. Everyone acknowledges our collective insanity, starts laughing about how they, on some weird level, thought they were the only one, but suspected they weren't. And we all laugh about how fucking mad we are, and like how much we're so hidden. And it doesn't mean we therefore show everything, but just that we laugh together about how hidden we are is enough for us all to become very, very intimate and lightened up, and we're on a new playing field now. So it's not, you're saying if it was so easy, everyone would do it. No, it is so easy, and everyone does do it the moment they know in my groups. It's just that they don't think about it until they come.
Well, more people need to know about the information that you're putting out there, Jamie, because it's very unique as far as I can see in terms of therapy or, healing and people getting over themselves and dealing with all their issues. So
it's very effective.
Yeah,
it's very effective. This stuff, so it would get rid of eczema. But there have been numerous cases of people coming to the workshops and their eczema's gone afterwards. For example, one of the common things, other things as well. So it's not like we did this to create a cure for eczema or depression. But following the steps of what we're doing is the end of depression. It just is. It's over, the depression. once you truly self-care and you do it in step-by-step, sensible, doable, not flowery, airy-fairy, earnest, just very sober, unvarnished, loving, playful, but simple, not pretentious. Very simple steps. And when you do them, it's the end of depression, it's the end of eczema, it's the end of so many complaints. Because, you know, so many things like depression and eczema are very suppression-led. You know, depression is accumulated suppression of something. And when you start expressing and giving parts of yourself permission to express, even if it's in a horrible, bloodthirsty poem, or even if it's in a punk rock song, or even if it's in the way you decide to gossip about the EastEnders, you give your areas for those parts of yourselves to breathe. Then they don't need to toxify the beautiful, clear water of the rest of your life. We've got to turn towards those parts first, so to even allow them to breathe. We've got to acknowledge that they're there and go, yeah, I'm greedy. Yeah, I talk shit to myself and I'm mean to myself sometimes. Yeah, I'm really judgmental about you just think, shit, I'm churning up a lot of negative shit unconsciously with my mind. Let's not leave that all into suppression and have it leak out in such toxic ways. Let's really turn towards it and meet its needs, so it doesn't need to be so toxic and unconscious. And it turns into gossip, and it turns into addiction, and all those things are just those thoughts untended to.
Yeah.
The worries, the negativity, the victim, the rage. They're all those parts of ourselves no one's ever taught us what to do with. We all have a lot of rage. Every human does. And if it's been suppressed like everyone else's for the last 30 years, it's a big pressure cooker now. No one ever teaches you until you get to a boiling, exploding point and you have to go to anger management. No one actually teaches you how to deal with your anger. That you're a human with anger and this is what you do with it. The most you're ever taught is count to 10. It's ridiculous. It's a huge part of life just skipped.
Yeah, just jumped over. It'd be fantastic. Do you ever plan on creating a program for schools?
Huh?
Have you ever thought of creating a program for kids in schools?
Yeah. No. It was like, I was asked to by a head teacher, and then they didn't end up doing it. I didn't pursue it. We were going to do a come to the dark side day for the kids because everything you're going to be so good and follow the rules and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we would do like come to the dark side, and you have a day of like the world's best liar and most mess you can make in 30 seconds. And, you know, just like all the things you're not meant to be doing in school, just one day given over to the, like in Egypt, you know, the slaves got to be pharaoh for a day.
Right. But that would be really powerful. I can't imagine doing any skills wanting to embrace that, though. They might fear of losing control over the kids with this explosion of creativity.
I could create a model for it and just see if they'd like to do it for a day.
Yeah, I think that would be really powerful.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you can transform kids before they become the adults, you might get there a lot quicker. Because there's so much potential. I notice it, and I'm sure you do too, with kids nowadays. They're so much more in tune with who they really are, and just they don't take any bullshit like we would have done before, or as easily. Yeah, I really believe we need to support them as much as possible to be able to shine and break out of the system that doesn't serve them. This could be one of the really good ways to do that.
Yeah.
So what next, Jamie? Where are you going to? Where are you traveling? Any workshops coming up?
Well, I've got workshops coming up in Bristol and in Glastonbury and in Chester and in London and in, let me just look, Portugal. There's a yoga-y one at the end of the month. And then I'm kind of taking August off. And there's some stuff in Brighton with Mark Walsh on the 31st of August. And then the project building masterclass on the 2nd and 3rd of September in London is called What About You? And that's bringing your dream project into the world. Like 25 years of my experience of doing projects on how to greenlight and actually action and not just have a great idea, but do it. That's the 2nd and 3rd of September in London. yeah, and just getting more and more sort of ideas for things to do, like in foreign lands. I've got to finish this film we're making with Ram Dass, which is a beautiful film for walking each other home. Working with Duncan again from One Giant Leap. It's become a bit of a One Giant Leap production, which is exciting to have Duncan on it again. And apart from that, just obeying the daughters, obviously.
Obeying your daughters.
Yeah, I know my place.
Brilliant. Yeah, very wise man. Brilliant. So if anybody wants to find out more about Jamie, I'll put the website link up again. It's jamiecatto.com, and I'd highly recommend that you actually go on there and check out his workshops and check out the book, download it, buy it, try and get to any of his workshops. I have been myself when you came over to Dublin a couple of years ago, Jamie, and it was one of the best workshops I've ever attended. It was just so juicy, so creative, so powerful, so transformative, and as you say, Jamie, it's so simple. It's like, why was I thinking that? Okay, but the techniques that you use are very powerful. And
Thank
simple.
you.
So yeah, I wish you the best of luck, Jamie, with the rest of everything you're doing, and thank you so much for bringing your creativity to the world. And I wish for you an abundance of participants at all your workshops. They should be overflowing.
Hope to see you at one of them soon.
For the work you do. Yeah, definitely. So thanks very much, and thanks everybody. Take care.